Meta CEO, Facebook co-founder Mark Zuckerberg has reportedly bought a mansion in Florida with his wife Priscilla.
The property is part of a gated community on a small island in Miami that's commonly referred to as Billionaire Bunker. A report from the Wall Street Journal reads, quote, "The couple is purchasing a newly completed waterfront mansion on Miami's Indian Creek, according to sources with knowledge of the transaction." Zuckerberg is the latest tech billionaire to descend on Miami as California proposes a 5% billionaire tax. Florida offers no state income tax, which for billionaires like Zuckerberg and Bezos adds up to millions of dollars.
The move drew reactions online, especially from those who feel it's another sign of California's tax laws pushing the ultra-wealthy away. I've been saying this for a while now. Representative Kevin Kiley from California says now Zuckerberg's leaving too. Newsom's disastrous policies and the proposed wealth tax are driving away our citizens and our tax dollars. The state's finances are a house of cards on the brink of collapse. This comes as Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders is set to appear in Los Angeles next week to lead the charge for the new 5% wealth tax on billionaires in California. According to the LA Times, supporters of the initiative are currently attempting to gather enough signatures for their proposal to go on to ballots this November.
Other Democrats, including California Governor Gavin Newsom, are against the proposal, but Sanders says in a statement, quote, "This initiative would provide the necessary funding to prevent over 3 million working-class Californians from losing the health care they currently have and would help prevent the closures of California hospitals and emergency rooms. It should be common sense that the billionaires pay just slightly more so that entire communities can preserve access to life-saving medical care."
Well.
Mark Zuckerberg also has a house in the DMV area somewhere. What does it mean that you're buying another property? It means you're definitely leaving California, or are you buying another
Bye-bye.
property?
I think
no one has facts.
bye-bye.
Did he talk to somebody on record at the New York Times or somewhere and say, "Yeah, I'm getting out of California"? Yeah, that's it. No one knows. So this is all speculative. He might just be buying another house because he's a billionaire and can do that. A lot of people have.
Well, it's interesting. The compound he'd assembled in California was he kept buying. I did a little bit of digging into it because he kept buying like houses that are next to each other to make like one extended giant property. And during the pandemic, I did radar on this. You might remember he put his kids in homeschooling, and he did it for all the kids or a couple kids. So they were drop off, pick up in the neighborhood. The neighbors were mad about it. Anyway. No, I think they're going to Florida.
Oh, because the neighbors told on them for that situation?
Yeah, I think they were sick of their annoying neighbors too. And they're sick of Gavin Newsom, and they're sick of...
Gavin Newsom is against this.
Yeah, but he's not able to stop it. They're sick of Democrats ruining the state, like Bernie Sanders, who wants to milk those billionaires. Look, you can't just fix your state's budgeting problems by trying to confiscate the wealth from your most productive citizens, because they're going to go elsewhere. And California's loss is Florida's gain. Good for them.
Look, I told
Florida's
you.
going to be a new hub of tech innovation.
I told you how I feel about the California wealth tax. I don't think it's a good idea. They tried this in 2024, and it was largely ineffective and did not pass to law. I do think California is the state with the most billionaires. So do I think, if your kids' are going to be well off, that you could spare a couple dollars to help out the greater good? Yeah, you probably should. But do I think it needs to be on paper at one of the most highest tax states already? I don't know. It seems like a bit much. So, as somebody who wants to aspire towards that billionaire American dream, if that even is one, it just is like you don't want to then have to give more than like everything you've made. But also, like, what are you doing with all that money? People really argue that, like, really, what you never will run out of money. Your generations to come. Like, why can't you just give a couple back to the community that helped make you such a success?
Because in Florida, they don't have to.
Yeah, I know. So, but he's not only going to Florida. He's going to live in D.C. right now. He has 3 homes.
I mean, but think about this for a second. They're saying, they can't afford the medical system, the hospital system. So this is speaking to medical entitlements. This is the whole problem in our society. We already spend, as a country, more money into our medical care system than any other advanced nation. We're already doing that. So where is this money going if we still somehow don't have enough money to provide the care that we need? And we all know the answer to that. It's for middle managers in the healthcare system, and maybe to some extent drug companies. I'm all for negotiating drug prices. That's a Trump innovation. I agree with completely. We should negotiate to get the prices down.
Just to point out to that, the criticism about that Trump policy that he suggested or is implementing with the prescription drugs is that it may not lower costs for Americans, but what it will do is rise costs for other nations, making us equal. He was upset that other nations might have paid less than us. It doesn't necessarily mean that ours are going to be cheaper. It just means that theirs could rise up to ours, and so we don't see the effects of that yet.
They'll probably equalize somewhat. And if we did patenting reform and licensing reform, we could bring some of those costs down. Everybody always points to insulin as what being so expensive. Well, I've looked at it. Its patent is absurd. There should be generic competition to a much greater degree than there is. That's a government protection for the makers of insulin that we don't need to have. That's anti-competitive practice mandated by government. So I'd fix that. I'd fix again the way the insurance markets in healthcare work, where you don't understand the price of everything, and so they can increase the price just so that middle managers are making more money. So we needed fundamental reform to the system. We don't need more money in the system. We're already spending more money than any other nation. So the idea that we'll just fix it if we could just take more money from billionaires and throw it into a system that pays that out to those pharmacy middle manager type people, that's not gonna cut, or pensions of government employees, systems that no one has pensions anymore except government employees. That's dodo birded. That's insane, and because people live much longer into retirement age. So fix those things. Don't just say, okay, we'll just take more money from wealthy people because they're going elsewhere.
I agree with you.
How about that?
My biggest criticism about the whole thing is that there are a lot of people that agree with you, whether it's Democrats or Republicans, but let's focus on Republicans right now because the government shut down because Democrats wanted to put a Band-Aid on it, which wasn't a permanent solution. But what are the Democrats' proposals for health care? Because President Trump's big health act or whatever name he titled it has no information that is plausible towards bringing down costs.
Concepts of a plan.
Exactly. Concepts of a plan do not work. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, after all these years and all this complaining about Obamacare, what is the plan? Just let me know one, especially for the people who are most critical of it. If we tried Obamacare and people think that was a fail and don't like how it turned out, propose an alternative that's actually effective.
I'm not an expert in this area of policy, but free market think tanks have healthcare policies that they've recommended, like Cato and AEI and Heritage and Competitive Enterprise Institute. Those are all places that have great plans that I would recommend Republicans adopt speedily. That does it for us today on Rising Live. Thanks so much for watching. Look out for more exclusive YouTube content coming your way later today. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe to The Hill's YouTube channel so you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, we're available somewhere out there on the internet. Check us out. Bye-bye.